Hello, welcome back to ZBrush Tips. So today we'll look at the basics of navigation. So in the first video, I demonstrated that you can tumble the object by just left clicking away from the object. If you click on the object, well, you're going to start sculpting. But if you move over and start left clicking and dragging on background, you're going to tumble the object. Let's turn on polyframe, Shift F, so we can see the lines running along our geo here. So we can see it tumble. Now, if you want to pan, then what you would do is you would hold down Alt and then left click and drag. So left click and drag is a tumble. If you hold down Alt, then you get a pan. Now, what you can do is when you get into pan mode by holding down Alt and left click, if you let go of Alt and still keep your left mouse button down, what happens is it will switch then to zoom. So left click, tumbles, Alt left click, pan. If we keep holding on to our pan and then we release Alt, then we get a zoom. An alternative way to do this is what you can do is you could hold down Alt and right click. And you can also hold down Control and right click. So if you want, you can use the right click button on your mouse. And if you hold down Alt, it will allow you to pan. And then if you switch over to Control, it will allow you to zoom. So this little shortcut also works when you're working on the model. So if I hold down my right mouse button and just orbit around, this is just the right mouse button, right? So if I use my right mouse button, then I can tumble. If I hold down Alt, my right mouse button, I can pan. And if I hold down Control, then I can zoom. And this is really handy because if you zoom in so far that there's no space to work around your model, well, you can always go over here and revert back to using left click and then Alt and left click and then let go of Alt and zoom in. But if you want to stay on the model, just remember you can switch to your right mouse button. Right mouse button, if you right click, and you can tumble. You hold down Alt and right, then you can pan, Control and right mouse button, then you can zoom in and out. So a couple different ways you can do that. If you zoom in too far or too far away, hit F, and that will frame the view. So again, Control and right click, and Alt, right click, just allows you to tumble. And those are the ways that you can navigate around your space. Now, of course, if you want, you can always go and use the buttons over here, but I recommend learning how to use the keyboard shortcuts. So it's possible to frame, you can move the edited object around, and you can zoom in and out. But having to take yourself away from the workspace, slide over here, and then use these buttons is a little bit tedious. So I think it's good that you kind of learn how to rotate the objects by using the keyboard shortcuts, as opposed to just doing the menu option here. And please also understand that the options up here are different. This is for scrolling the document size. This is not the same as navigating. So just understand, you can see that this is scaling my document. It's not actually going in here and moving the camera away from the object. So let's hit actual there. So now I can see a border around everything. If I go over here and I can rotate, I can zoom, and I can move. So whichever options you prefer, I recommend get to know the keyboard shortcuts. They really are a lifesaver. And if you learn them well enough, then it won't be too difficult for you to start working with them, zooming, panning, and then just tumbling your way around before you start sculpting. That's the basics of ZBrush navigation.